Welcome to my presentation. My name is Gabbie Milch and I am the St. John's Riverkeeper's Middle Basin Advocacy Coordinator. That's a big mouthful. I am also a paddler and a water person and have been for most of my life, and I have seen and compared many different waterways. Back in January, I undertook a great adventure and paddled 10 waterways in 10 days and lived to tell the tale. I saw many gators and endured a lot. And I want to thank the Volusia County Water Alliance, my friends, for putting this on tonight. I look at our waters from a riverkeeper's perspective. I am trained regulatory environmental scientist and have over 32 years of experience in water resource management and outreach education in Central Florida. I look at our waters' vegetative communities, and they give me the knowledge of how clean the habitat is and how well our ecosystem is doing, and we do need a healthy planet. I've learned a few things over the years, and I will share with you this evening's conversation. So close your eyes for a minute and pretend that you are in the middle of a forest in your kayak. Now breathe. Now open your eyes. What did you see? What did you smell? What did you hear? Did you hear the birds? So now I'll give you a chance to escape the concrete jungle in a kayak, and you are even closer to the water. Many people move from Florida from somewhere else and don't really understand our fragile but deadly environment. Welcome to Florida. We have snakes, gators, genetically modified mosquitoes, and in the south we have the Everglades. And we are surrounded by water and vulnerable to tropical storms, prolonged droughts, and massive flooding. Florida is both blessed and cursed. Welcome. Paddling has been my life through COVID. I know that it has benefited me in so many ways. It's gotten me out exercising, got me some stress relief, also made me confident, and also has made me happy and sometimes very sad. So get out there on the water and give it a try. Sharing the waterways is an important aspect of living in Florida. We have all kinds of recreational users, from kayakers, sailboat people, all the way up to the airboats. And when you're sharing the water, and with all the animals too, you definitely have to take into account things like no wake zones or making large waves for people in floating vessels who are paddling. So I just give you some request out there is to please be kind on the water. In the Middle St. John's River Basin, we have a lot of paddling opportunities. We have some very nice natural areas that have been purchased for conservation, a lot of wonderful state parks and natural lands. And we also have a very urbanized downtown Orlando through Orange, Seminole counties. And then you have Volusia, which is where we are, and there's just water everywhere. And so water is very important to keep clean, especially clean for drinking water. In the urban environment, the water can get quite dirty and low at different times of the year. We can also have high flooding that affects people's homes and their septic tanks and their wells, as well as their wastewater treatment systems discharge into the urban areas. And so in the urban, the non-point source pollution and point source pollution rules need to be worked on, and we need to do a better job in the future. I'm hopeful. When I'm out on the water, I look for things like water levels. I look for clarity and turbidity. And when the water is turbid, you can't see through it, so you know it's not clear. I look for different types of algae blooms. Some algae grows on plants, some is free floating, and some is just takes up a lot of space. I look at the good and the bad plants, and I look for signs for aquatic spraying when you can see a lot of an area is very browned out. I of course look for wildlife and birds, and trash and treasures, and air boats, of course, and outfall pipes where discharge of different things can occur. So those are the big pipes that dump into the waterways. Clean water is so important. In Florida, there are types of water quality grading system. Florida has 6 designated use categories, which are arranged in the order of degree of protection required. Class 1, potable water supplies. There are actually 14 general areas throughout the state, including impoundments and associated tributaries, certain lakes and rivers, and portions of rivers used as drinking water or supplemental irrigation supply. Class 2 waters, shellfish propagation and harvesting, generally coastal waters where shellfish harvesting occurs. And it's hard to believe, but many shellfish harvesting areas, rainwater can be harmful. Oysters and clams need a certain amount of salinity. We then have Class 3, which is a catch-all, which is for fish consumption, recreation, propagation, and maintenance of a healthy, well-balanced fish population. And now we have a new category called Class 3 Limited, where fish consumption advisories, recreational or limited recreation, and the propagation or maintenance of a limited population of fish. Class 4, which is agricultural water supplies, where water quality monitoring is voluntary. Class 5, which is navigation, utility, and industrial use, and we haven't got any of those. All waters in Florida, which the state has jurisdiction, fall into one of those classifications, with mostly designated Class 3 waters. In general, Class 1 waters have most stringent water quality protection, while Class 5 would have the least. However, there are no Class 5 waters at this time, except for maybe the overflow from the phosphate tailing ponds that just occurred in Southwest Florida. We also have a special designated area called Priority Focus Areas. Blue Springs, DeLeon, Gemini are a few of the most vulnerable areas for pollution and water level issues. Minimum flows and levels classifications are areas where scientists, engineers, and regulators have looked at the amount of water available after we withdraw for our uses and try to prevent harm or plan to implement recovery plans, or some waters have prevention strategies. This program is a work in progress and needs support and funding by the legislature. We must encourage them to invest in our clean water. We also have human fish consumption advisories in place, and reports are updated every few years. I hear some people who say that it's not their problem because they just fish and they don't eat them, but our birds and other critters do, and the numbers are in decline. Pollutions like heavy metals, other than mercury, which is atmospherically deposed from the burning of coal for our energy, pollutants like dioxins, pesticides, PCBs, and saxotoxins for fecal coliform and untreated wastewater. Check out the Florida Health Department's website for more information. It is important for you to do your part and to protect our water quality and quantity. We were once a state that was the best in water protection, but now we rank lower due to the watering down of our pollution protection laws dealing with stormwater management and permitted discharges like wastewater. We can do something by asking our elected officials to support water management district and FDEP programs once again to protect our waterways better. DeLand, Orange City, and Volusia County have done a great job and heavily invested in Blue Springs watershed to both protect our water quality and our water quantity. They have improved their wastewater treatment facility, have reduced the amount of water being pulled from the ground for irrigation by creating reuse systems, and also supplementing the demand from surface waters that they're using, which has a double-edged sword. They are even opening up a new well field in the north and helping folks with water for new developments. The consequences, however, could be not talking about these issues. It is a great part about the Volusia County Water Alliance work to inform and educate others. Water levels go up and down due to many reasons during the year. Lack of rainfall during a drought or times of high water levels. Did you know the driest month is April? We also have these periodic droughts, which typically have been happening on a 10-year cycle, but this is changing. We use groundwater from our surficial aquifer for drinking, irrigation, agriculture, and industry. And there is a warning that we may be using too much. So we do have water restrictions year-round to protect our water supply. Do you know what your watering days are? It's always a good idea if you have a watering in-ground irrigation system that you don't just set it and forget it. Volusia County Extension Office and the Volusia County website have great information. Please follow the watering restrictions. New installations of turf grass need an establishment time of about 2 weeks, and when you need to stop that supplemental watering. Once the roots are established, you can reduce the watering. It's critical for the health of your lawn. Overwatering leads to fungus and growth in your lawn and lots of dollar weed. Many people come to Florida looking for a greener and warmer lifestyle. We must let them know how things grow here, and during the rainy season, supplemental watering is not always necessary. So please don't set it and forget it, your irrigation system. We need to make the connection that lawn watering leads to impacts to our springs and waterways. From a water quality standpoint, the stuff we put down on our lawns, and from a water quantity standpoint, the amount of water we pull out of the ground. Natural rainfall can recharge the aquifer, but not as fast as we pull the water off. Water loss due to evapotranspiration, watering during daylight hours between 10 and 4, and runoff are two issues to better understand and become more Florida friendly and protect our water resources. I recently heard a statistic that 1,000 people a day are coming to Florida. You can see the strong growth with all the new homes and roadways. Each of these new homes adds to our water issues. I looked up Volusia County's numbers, and at the 2020 census, there was 551,588 people that lived in Volusia County. And that number is projected to grow to over 600,000 by 2025. We all need the bathroom, and so what happens to all that wastewater? Is it treated municipally, or do we have private treatment facilities on each of our homes? There's a lot of things that we put in the water that we can't get out as easily, and one of them is nutrients. And if you have a septic system, please maintain and clean out your system. Also, get an advanced treatment system or upgrade to a wastewater treatment system. And it's certainly worth it in the long run. We have a lot of work that needs to be done to keep our waters clean. Please invest in upgrading our systems. Did you know that 90% of our drinking water comes from groundwater or aquifer? And some of it, where does your water come from? Do you have a private well or city water, or do you just drink bottled water, which still comes from the aquifer in most cases? You have an influence on our water, so please be a good steward. Runoff from the hard surfaces, leaky underground storage tanks, leaky cars, and unmaintained septic systems have a big impact on our water, and it's not easy to reverse. Do you care for your lawn, or do you hire others? You can ask your landscaper if they've ever heard of the green industry's best management practices training. And if not, you can connect them up with the UF ICE extension for classes. Did you know that a commercial landscaper needs a license to fertilize and spray for bugs and fungicides in your yard? It's simple to hire someone to mow, blow, and go, but they need to understand how to protect our water resources. We all have an impact on the water with our modern lifestyles. First step is knowing there's a problem. Did you know that Volusia County, as well as other counties, have fertilizer rules and blackout periods for applying them during the rainy season? Think about it for a minute. Fertilizers in the rainy season may get washed past the root zone and not be available for your plants to feed on. That's a pollution problem and a waste of money. Check out your city and county's website and participate in the programs that the Volusia County Water Alliance is promoting currently to protect our springs, Volusia Blue, Gemini, and DeLeon. Take an online class and learn how to be less polluting and use less water and still have a healthy and attractive lawn. In West Volusia, we have some wonderful springs, but to help clean them up and keep the water levels high, it's important to follow best management practices. On the east side of Volusia County, it's more of the salty water and different habitats, and fresh rainwater can even be a pollutant loading in those areas. We have 5 water management districts in our state, and we live in the St. Johns River Water Management District, which is 18 counties. We are almost in the middle of the watershed. The river's about 310 miles and flows north. It starts in the south in lakes and marshes and flows through, we live in District 5 of the Florida Department of Environmental Protection area, and local permits get permits from these agencies to supply us with water and our wastewater treatment. There are also private industry who get permits from these agencies as well. These permits can be difficult and expensive to get and need to be maintained, but are in the big picture a look of what we're doing across political and physical boundaries. The DEP and the Water Management District rules are modified and have helped us to reduce the cost of water and to have long-term consequences of pollution and overconsumption addressed. It's a fine balance to get the water and the plumbing correct. So what can you do to help? Here are a few things you can do. Becoming aware is so important, and then modifying your behavior is critical. I've been working on this field for over 30 years and am saddened by the state of our water at times. If you are young and just moved here, everything may look fine, but we can do so much better. I'm sure many of you have visited Volusia Blue Springs and paddled on the spring run out to the St. Johns River and know the beauty and the importance of those areas for the manatees and the fish that swim up into the spring boil and need that 72-degree water constantly coming out of the aquifer to protect them in the cold and also as a refuge from boats on the river as well. Take a chance, get out and visit Blue Springs. Blue Springs has a pollution prevention plan. It's called a BMAP, a Basin Management Action Plan, which is a 20-year plan to reduce pollution and help water levels in the springs. Google Blue Springs BMAP on the computer. DeLeon Springs and Gemini Springs have the same. Take a little time, read up on the issues, and please do things better for us and clean water. We need your support. Gemini Spring is an amazing asset to our community for recreation. I once swam in the springs, but it's not allowed today. Water quality in the spring coming out is impacted by the watershed above, which is the City of DeLand, which they are working hard to upgrade their systems from discharging to the springs. You can make a difference if you live in the Gemini Spring, Paget Creek, and DeBerry Bayou area. There's a restoration plan. There's a wonderful group of people called the Gemini Springs Alliance. Check them out online and volunteer. You too can help protect our springs. I visited DeLeon Springs back in the 80s and 90s and spent lots of time in the water there, enjoying the lovely weather and wonderful water quality. It's amazing how you go back some 40 years later and see the differences in the area. I know that DeLeon Springs has had a problem with nutrients from agricultural lands as well as septic tanks in the area. And there's a group of dedicated folks working on educating the community and trying to work on their basin management action plan. If you get a chance, get out there to DeLeon Springs and get yourself some of those wonderful pancakes from that historic grist mill and enjoy the day. You can even take a paddle out on Lake Woodruff from that area, and it's got some wonderful plants and animals that you can enjoy. Green Springs is a wonderful park located in Enterprise, Florida, right off of Lake Monroe in the St. Johns River. It's one of the most interesting springs, I think, that we have to deal with in Volusia County. And if you go a bit upstream on the hiking trails there, you can see some wonderful little Florida waterfalls. It has some wonderful walking trails, biking trails, and is hooked on to the Springs to Springs Trail in Volusia County. Check it out. It's a great place. Seems relatively good water quality wise, but we can always improve with our septic tanks, fertilization, and other water conserving important aspects of turning off your irrigation, especially during the rainy season. Our challenges are great. We must help pay our way to clean water for drinking and for recreation, for nature, and for our yards, for agriculture, and for the wide open spaces. Water is very important. What are you willing to pay or change in your life? Private property rights doesn't include the water beneath your feet. A permitted water user, a legal water user, has certain protections that you as an individual don't have. Is that reasonable? Is it cost effective? Should water pollution cleanup be voluntary or mandatory? Many challenges we face for future generations. We must develop in a more sustainable and thoughtful manner than we are today, in my opinion. We've talked about a lot of problems today, and also we have some solutions for you. You too can participate by conserving irrigation water, improving awareness of your neighbors, families, and friends. You can try to use the reuse water if available. If you have a septic system, to hook up to a wastewater treatment plant or upgrade your septic system to a higher nutrient treatment system. Reducing stormwater runoff from your yards by sweeping up fertilizer, leaves, and debris and not washing them down the storm drain are all effective things that you can manage your pollution. Thank you. I have been a clean water advocate or educator for most of my career. Here I am out on my 10-day paddle challenge with a group of conservationists and preservationists thinking and talking about the importance of clean water. This is Juniper Run in the middle of the Ocala Forest, where there's land use is not as polluting as in our urban areas. Become a clean water advocate. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, talk to your elected officials. Please write letters when asked. We appreciate all your help. You can always join the St. Johns Riverkeeper organization and help us help the water. Who is the St. Johns Riverkeeper? Her name is Lisa Reineman, and our mission is to be an independent voice, which she is, that defends, advocates, and activates others to restore the St. Johns River. She's also a member of the Waterkeepers Alliance of the United States and throughout the world. So please check out our website and check out the Waterkeeper Alliance website as well. Please become a member, shop at our online store, help support the work of the St. Johns Riverkeeper, and protect the river, the St. Johns River, a lovely 310-mile northernly flowing waterway that has made Central Florida and Florida what it is today. Thank you for listening to me tonight, and hopefully you'll adopt some of the practices we spoke about today. You can get in contact with me at Gabbie@stjohnsriverkeeper.org or give me a call if you'd like a presentation in the future. I appreciate the Volusia County Water Alliance for putting this together, and I will take any questions at this time. Thank you and have a great evening.